Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Stephen Gervais and Friends podcast. Today, I will be talking about the 1974 car chase classic, Gone 60 Seconds. But before we do that, I have a little bit of an announcement to make, and that our bullet episode that I did last Tuesday was almost to 400 views on YouTube. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. It is so amazing when you, the supporters and fans of the show, go out there and tell us a little bit about us. And also, we are now on Zencaster, which is a new podcasting platform that allows you the opportunity to not only see me, but create your own podcast. And it helps you get monetized easier, which, if you'd like to hear a story about Zencaster, I can tell you it right now. Hey everyone, I want to take a brief moment here and tell you about how Zencaster has changed my life. I have had my podcast for 4 years now and have enjoyed creating content for you. I struggled to make my podcast more visible until someone introduced me to Zencaster. Let me tell you, moving over to Zencaster is the best decision I have ever made. Let me tell you why. It is so easy to record a podcast with Zencaster. All you have to do is log in using your browser and start recording a high quality podcast right away. Record studio quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of Zen knowing Zencaster's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality ever, even if the connection is unstable. As I told you earlier, I had issues getting my podcast out there. Gone are those days. If you have thought about podcasting before and realize that you need a lot of different tools and services, those days are over too. With Zencaster's all-in-one podcasting platform, you can create your podcast all in one place and distribute to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations. I personally have seen a boost in my own podcast once I switched to Zencaster. So what are you waiting for? Get your podcast started now. Go to Zencaster.com/pricing and use my code Steven, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencaster paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. And that's from an ad from Zencaster. I hope you all will enjoy this episode, as Zencaster has helped me make it easier to bring it to you. So, on with the show. Gone in 60 Seconds is a 1974 action film written, directed, produced by, and starring H.B. Halicki. The film centers on a group of car thieves and the 48 cars they must steal in a matter of days. It is known for having wrecked and destroyed 93 cars in a 40-minute car chase scene, one of the longest in film history. A total of 127 cars were either destroyed or damaged throughout the entirety of the film. Gone 60 Seconds proved to be extremely successful at the box office, grossing $40 million on a budget of $150,000. A loose remake with new characters and a different plot was released in 2000, starring Nicolas Cage and Angelina Jolie. And in this movie, it does pretty much go with what Bullet had originally created, and that it's kind of a bland story, but yet the car chase saves it. And with Gone 60 Seconds, you had still the independent film scene showing its colors as, hey, we're not big studio, but we can still make a great film and get it out to you, our adoring public, and you'll love it. Now, a lot of people say, well, Steven, didn't you say this was a bland story? It is, in the fact that it's not an typical action car chase movie that you see today. like Gone in 60 Seconds, the 2000 remake, or Fast and the Furious franchise. Or even you could throw John Wick in there, how it's all actiony, it's got this good story, it builds up its characters. Gone 60 Seconds does not do that. It gives you the basic plot of a group of car thieves must steal 48 cars in a matter of days. And they are going to get paid lots and lots of money to do this. Madrian Pace is a respectable insurance investigator who runs an automobile chop shop in Long Beach, California. He is also the leader of a professional car theft ring that steals and resells stolen cars, disguising them using vehicle identification numbers, engines, parts, and details such as parking decals and bumper stickers sourced from legitimately purchased wrecks. As an insurance industry insider, Pace has one small idiosyncrasy. All vehicles stolen must be insured. Pace meets a South African drug lord who offers $200,000 upfront with an additional $200,000 upon completion of delivery in exchange for the theft of 48 specific vehicles to be delivered to the Long Beach docks within 5 days. It's a list of limousines, semi-truck trailers, vintage cars, exotics, and any other car thief would be like, damn, this is impossible. Well, Madrian Pace has an ego, and he is very confident that he can fill this with his group of other professional car thieves. And they later do complete it just barely in time. Well, you never really see that it's completed, but in the long run, you kind of think, well, he did get Eleanor, which is a 1970s Ford Mustang Mach 1. And the car chase itself is so beautifully done that it's kind of grindhouse in a way. And this movie does take it doesn't say, hey, we're showy, you need to believe our stunts, whatever. It proves to you why you need to believe in their stunts, because it's real. Toby H.B. Hallecky, who sadly is no longer with us, he had passed away, I think, in the 80s, doing a stunt that went wrong. But in Gone 60 Seconds, it seems like everything goes right, even when stuff does go wrong, even when marks are missed or accidents that shouldn't have happened. He literally had this dream to make a movie like this, makes it, and shows you the blueprint back in the day of how to make independent movies. Just like Tom Laughlin would do with the Billy Jack series, or how vigilante films came out of the Walking Tall era of films, which Walking Tall definitely does fit into independent filmmaking at its finest. Later, yeah, you have to add a little bit of finesse into an otherwise what probably could have been a weak story. And with Gone 60 Seconds or Walking Tall or Bullet or the Billy Jack film series, you got to kind of bullshit your customers in a way. And that's not saying it negatively. You have to have something that brings them in. And with Gone 60 Seconds, yeah, the story is very, very easy to understand and kind of gets boring in a way until you get to the car chase. But that's what makes the movie so much enjoyable. I can't say enough about this, and the fact that when HB Toby Hallecky brings you in on this adventure, it's kind of like, oh, hey, these guys are trying to steal these cars, and some of the cars he has to give back, like Eleanor. He has to give Eleanor back, I think, 3 or 4 times in the film before he finds the original, one that is insured. And it's so shitty for him, and you feel so bad because you're hoping that in a way he pulls this off, because very much Madrian Pace is your typical blue collar guy that wants to get ahead in life, but yet he runs his own shop, but he wants more. In the fact that he knows that he could get caught, that this could all blow up and he could miss the deadline. He could do all these things that are going to screw up his business and this car list. And he doesn't. He almost gets caught when he steals Eleanor from a con man, so to speak. And he manages to get away. He parks that car back into the con man's driveway and just goes back. Well, then what really almost gets them in trouble is when a Cadillac Eldorado is brought in, it's got drugs in the back, in the trunk. Well, they don't know this until they go to get the person that they stole it from's belongings out there, and they see a bunch of cocaine in the thing. Well, Eugene, who is kind of an asshole and is related to Madrian's girlfriend, I guess you'd call her. Her name is Pumpkin in the movie. And Eugene, who is Pumpkin's brother, is kind of an ass. Like, I mean, he is really, really bad. To the point where him and Madrian always clash. And later on in the film, Eugene calls the police and says, hey, you should stake out this place. You're going to have a robber, someone go in there and steal a car. Well, we later find out that this is the last Eleanor or last car that Madrian has to get. And when Madrian gets there, the car alarm doesn't go off until he gets it out of the parking garage. And the cops are waiting. They're staking it out. They see this. They're like, hey, for a car salesman, if that's really truly his car, evidently he didn't know that there was an alarm. And they see Madrian get out of the car, open up the hood, and rip out the alarm. Well, at that point, Madrian is about ready to get back into Eleanor and sees the cop sitting there, and he gives out one of the best lines of the whole movie, and is like, I guess I should have read my horoscope today, and the car chases off. This goes on for 40 minutes, and the car chase goes through all different areas of California, leading up to some of the greatest jumps and some of the greatest driving, I would have to say. A lot of the cops' cars get crashed. Eleanor gets crashed a couple of times. There's a few scenes in there that, and you'll see them, but when Madrian gets hit, well, he takes out a pole, and Toby Halicki gets injured during that scene. Well, it looks so good that it just is edited together that it looks like once he hits it, he's still going. We later, near the end of the car scene, car chase scene, we see Madrian driving and he tries to stop, but he hits a bunch of wrecked cars and goes off of them like it's a jump. Well, when he lands in real life, HB had hurt his back pretty good, and it messed him up to the point where he had a limp for the rest of his life until he tragically passed away in the 80s, making another sequel in a way to this film. And um once that car lands, it's all done in slow motion too. And when it lands, you see him do a spin out, and I think he does like 3 spin outs before before it goes back to normal speed. He drives to a car wash with this almost wrecked Eleanor, sees another Eleanor, tells them just to wax the car, and he goes around to the lady that owns the same car, which is in better condition than the one he just got done driving, and says, hey, we got to take your car back and redo it. Something had happened. And so he gets in her car and drives away. Well, I guess the owner, or she gets the owner of the car wash and says, hey, I've been waiting for my car. What's going on? Well, then the car comes out that Madrian had just gotten rid of, and she thinks that's her car and faints. Well, the police, seeing the car wash owner matching the description of Madrian Pace, go in there and arrest the poor guy. And Madrian, he takes off his disguise and all that, and is stopped at a police roadblock where, he asks what's going on, and, they just say, routine, we're looking for someone, he may have been in this area. Well, he goes to drive away, but then the police officer says, wait, and gives him back his license. Well, you see him take off, and that's pretty much the end of the movie. It really is a true and stunning movie. Before you had um before you had Fast and Furious, or some of these more fleshed out movies that would have car chases in them, this movie is pretty much your go-to movie. And HB Toby Halicki made 3 more movies, I do believe, or at least tried to, before he was unfortunately killed in an accident making another film that he wanted to do. And this movie, he did come out with the movie Junkman. And what you notice when you watch his movies, like Junkman and all that, it's a movie within a movie. Before that's ever happened. And it's funny how pretty much every car in this movie is owned by Halicki. And he destroys a lot of them. I mean, he destroys a lot of his own shit. Which, there's even part of... There's literally, I shit you not, a scene in this movie where he goes into a... There's literally a scene in this movie where they will go into a car dealership. Well, he was only supposed to wreck like one or two, I do believe. And he um he ended up hitting into a few more of the real dealership's real cars, and so he had to buy all of those cars. And he did. And it's so cool because this movie does not attempt to say, "Hey, we're big, we're Hollywood, whatever." No. It says, "Hey, we're independent, and if you like us, fine. If you don't watch the movie." And I think a lot of these independent films back in those days, if they were made today, a lot of people probably wouldn't like them because they were so simplistic in the way that the story was made that they had to have something that someone would say, "Oh, hey, Gone 60 Seconds. Oh, yeah, I seen that in the drive-in movie theater or in a regular movie theater back in the day. And I didn't know much about it, but that car chase, that's what got me hooked." And for someone that I wasn't born when Gone in 60 Seconds, the original, was made, but having a dad who was born around the 50s who would later go on and watch some of these classic films and show us them. Like, I remember my dad showing me Vanishing Point when I was a little kid. And then he showed me Gone 60 Seconds, Bullet, Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, uh, The French Connection, The Seven Ups, To Live and Die in LA. It's amazing how a lot of these movies, how they weren't one arrested, because I mean, a lot of these independent film directors didn't a lot of times have the money to go out and get the permits to film these movies or film the scenes that they needed to. So they just went out and did it. And that is why I will always say the movies back in the whole independent and grindhouse era, as we call it, are truly the best movies ever made. And some people disagree with that, and that's fine. This is just my opinion on movies that to me are better than what you get with the Fast and Furious movies. And I'm a big fan of Fast and the Furious movies franchise. It's just Gone in 60 Seconds and a lot of the movies back in the day that are now being copied in a way by Fast and Furious were so much better than the Fast and Furious movies. And I'll go to my grave saying that. Um, and I think honestly, you can't really say anything. You could say that this movie was horrible and you can say that these movies are not very good. That may be, but at the same time, you have to understand that you have to actually sit and watch these before you draw a conclusion. And a lot of these old movies are dying off. Vanishing Point, you rarely see that on TV. If not, you never see it on TV anymore. And that's sad because a lot of a lot of things happened where these movies aren't around anymore. And that's very sad for the legacy of H.B. Halicki, for the legacy of Gone in 60 Seconds, the original. Like, yeah, you had the 2000 remake with Nicolas Cage and Angelina Jolie, but it wasn't really a remake. It was kind of, well, we're gonna make a movie, but it's gonna have nothing to do with this one. And so the originals, they kind of lose their luster when people like us in the later generations aren't talking about it. And um, I really do wish that HB Toby Halicki was here so that I could go and try and get a hold of him and be like, hey, I would love to have you come on the show and talk about this. His wife is still around, but at the same time, no offense, no or disrespect to her, I don't think it'd be the same because it's two different viewpoints where HB, you know, wrote this, he directed it, he pretty much made this film come to life and even starred in the film. But at the same time, you know, you lose that when you can't really um, talk to him. So it does suck. And I do believe, I think I said this made like $40 million. I'm sorry. It's probably, no, the box office did say 40 million. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. Um, and if I sound a little under the weather, I'm sorry. Woke up with a sore throat just from it being dry in our apartment. So hopefully you all enjoyed this. I'm sorry if it's all convoluted and all that, but I tried. I love you guys, and the link to the Zencaster ad will be in the description or the notes, so to speak. So look out for that. And if you're trying to get into podcasting, try Zencaster. It's an amazing thing. And if you want 30% off, all you have to do is click on my creator code or the link and use my creator code, which is Steven, and that's Steven, all capitalized, and you'll get 30% your off the first month of any Zencaster paid plan. So thank you so very much. Thank you all to my amazing subscribers and to the people that watch us and talk about us to their friends and family and get our name out. We are at 79 subscribers. We're on the road to 100 on YouTube. I do believe we're at 400 now on Zencaster with plays. So we're getting back to where we need to be. And also, we're monetized now. So thank you so very much. I truly do love bringing this amazing content, or at least try to bring amazing content to you, the viewers. And I will see you all on Saturday. I'm sorry that I didn't record yesterday. It's just we had just gotten back on Monday from my mom's wedding up in the Dakotas, and we were tired. That went into Tuesday, and we were writing up these scripts for these ads, and it's my fault. I know you, the fans, don't like hearing me make excuses, but I'm very sorry. And Saturday, which we will be doing a live stream, I think I will be doing, or at least try to be doing, either a watch along of Gone 60 Seconds, or I will be talking about the French Connection. So thank you all so very much, and I will talk to you all on Thursday.